Is this thing on? Alright. The RTB. Me and the rest of my team here have been working extensively every day. We make leaps and bounds. However, there is something unprecedented with these results. Disastrous outcomes. And yet, the higher ups refuse to listen. They greenlight and push things. These things take time, research. We're the researchers here. And yet, in the eyes of the government, we're just as powerless as everyone else. My mind wanders. I often ask myself these days, are we making this device and putting it into the wrong hands?
Every good power system has something in common, and that something is rules. In most cases, the rules can't be broken, like the laws of nature. Sometimes they just shouldn't be broken. And in other rare cases, in order to be stronger, these rules have to be broken. In my opinion, one of the most cathartic and interesting things that a character can do within their own story is basically break their own power system. And by break, I mean essentially using their abilities and other things in tandem with their abilities to have an unconventional power up or unconventional way to go about the power system within the story. Take the Zenkai boost from Dragon Ball, for example. Because of the Saiyan's innate ability to get stronger after every near-death experience, it was essentially a little hack that Goku and Vegeta were able to use due to their Saiyan biology to grow rapidly stronger. Or take Gojo and Sukuna, for example. Spoilers, by the way. Within the fight of Gojo and Sukuna, they both used their RCT to basically keep regenerating their burnt out curse technique. Even though it did come with drawbacks naturally, they were able to do something that nobody else has seen done before. And not only is it something that nobody else has done before, but it's also still using the tools that were already introduced and given to them within the story and the power system. So today, I'm basically using this comment here that was left on a previous video to explore one of the many ways that one could break the power system within my story. Okay, so let's talk rules. So it's already been established that because of the way the power system works, everybody has these factors that are in common. To start off, there is the amount of Raki that you are born with. Everyone is born with a different amount of Raki. It's very specific to the person. And then there's the user's potential. Again, this is another variable that varies greatly depending on the person, but essentially this means just how much Raki that person can eventually grow to. And then the third variable that's smack dab right in the middle between the cap, which is the potential, and the baseline, which is how much Raki they start with, there is the Raki threshold. Once a person grows their Raki to a point where it reaches that threshold or even surpasses it a little bit, that person then awakens their ability. Now, let me ask you, right? What happens when a person's Raki reaches the threshold, but they never awaken the ability? What happens when the Raki just swells up within a person and they never manifest the ability to use it outwardly? This is the RTB, the Raki Trigger Blocker. Once somebody's Raki reaches the threshold, it requires an extra trigger to basically awaken their ability. The trigger is brought on by an immense emotional or mental shift, something like intense pain or intense fear, intense anger, something that's very significant and intense for that person. The RTB is a government-funded project that is actively being researched and developed and unethically tested by this scientific corporation. Long story short, essentially using Raki in tandem with scientific research and equipment, when this device is on someone's head, it basically constantly sends and controls, it just manipulates signals that are being sent throughout the brain that affects the brain network in its entirety. The goal is to essentially halt the Raki triggering before awakening an ability. And what this does is essentially, as the person's Raki continues to grow, but they're not triggering that threshold, both the thresholds and the cap of potential get pushed up with the Raki. So the Raki surpasses the thresholds, reaches the potential cap, and basically forces its way even past that cap. Then eventually the RTB can also be used to trigger the awakening at any moment. And triggering the Raki awakening at a higher Raki threshold and Raki potential cap will then in turn give the person a stronger Raki ability. Doing this, however, is extremely dangerous, especially on people, which is why this project is not a publicly known thing. About 90% of the people who this project is tested on end up with many health complications that are life-threatening or just flat out die altogether, which is honestly to be expected because this process of forcefully increasing one's Raki ability in such an unnatural way is well, unnatural. Although people have Raki within them and have access to these Raki abilities and this technology that can harness Raki, Raki isn't the most stable power source in existence. It's one of the most chaotic, to be honest. So there are a lot of unknown factors when it comes to tampering with Raki related things. And before you know it, you'll end up with a lot of unforeseen consequences. Hopefully you enjoyed that cool little concept I made about one specific way to break the power system that I'm building. I'm still currently developing the story that this power system even resides in, so hopefully as the more I write, the more cool ideas I come up with about the power system, and I'll continue to make videos on it. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that cool stuff, and I can keep making cool stuff. So thanks. Bye.